and welcome to the Las Vegas Advisor interview series. Today we are joined with video poker expert Bob Dancer. Today is April 21st, 2025. We don't quite know when it's going to air, but Anthony, of course, I'm going to kick it over to you to give a little background on Mr. Dancer.
Bob Dancer, the legend.
Yeah.
The video poker legend. I mean, you know, when people say that about you, it feels funny. And if they say it about me, sometimes I go, eh. But for real, I mean, when it comes down to it, when you talk video poker, who is considered the leading expert? There's Gene Scott, you know, and then Frank Neeland and various others have come and, you know, gone down the years. But really, everybody kind of leans to Bob as being the guy. Tell you a little bit about him. He's not only plays everywhere, he's written books, made strategy cards, tutoring software. He came up through LVA. I've told this story before. This was decades ago. And he came in, he said, you know, he goes, I want to, you know, work with you guys and I'll write about blackjack. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, we got blackjack up to here, man. You know, I go, what else you got? He goes, well, I've been thinking about maybe video poker. And I'm like, yeah, how about we try that? We'll see what happens. And look what the monster we created here. The books we published for Bob, $1 Million Video Poker. We'll talk about that in a minute. Video Poker for the Intelligent Beginner. The Dancer Daily Strategy Cards. Video Poker for Winners software. And also, he's published a few of his own, the famous Winner's Guides on various games, and the book Sex, Lies, and Video Poker.
And more sex, lies, and video poker.
And more sex, lies, and video poker. I didn't even get through the first one. But tell us, give us a little history, Bob. Tell us how it all started. Start with backgammon real quick and then into Vegas.
Well, I fancied myself a backgammon player in the 70s and didn't go bankrupt until 79 when I played people who were better than me. Had to go get a job, which was a real shock to the system. Professional gamblers kind of get this feeling of superiority that they can win, they can live by their wits and not have to get a regular job. And then I had to bite the bullet and go get a job. So,
as we all did, pretty much at some point.
Kept playing backgammon a little bit, but I had a 50-hour-a-week job in an IT department in a couple different places, and eventually got a bankroll together. Started going blackjack with cashing coupons with various ways, and so flying to Vegas on the weekends.
From where? Where was this?
I was living in the Los Angeles area.
Okay.
And eventually in '93, I was able to move to Vegas and figured I could make it here. And as soon as I came here, several people kicked me out of playing blackjack there anymore. So I went to Gambler's Bookstore. I was willing to work very hard, so I didn't have to work for a living. Came across video poker, looked like I could do with it. Didn't like what was written about it, but
What did you find there? From? Was it Lenny From?
Well, From and Paymar.
Paymar was it before you?
Oh yeah, Paymar had already written 6 or 7. He kept publishing the same book every 2 years with a different number on it. And he was there. We tried working together, and we lasted about almost 3 months together before we were going to kill each other.
Oh no!
So I started writing. Gave a Deuces Wild strategy and kind of what I called, it was sort of like a winner's guide. Gave it to Anthony to publish, and he couldn't get through it. He, for whatever reason, it took him a long time, and finally he says,
I didn't like it.
And so Jeff Compton, who was a friend, suggested that he edit it and put it into 3 booklet forms between Deuces Wild, Jacks Are Better, and Double Bonus. And we started selling those for $15, I think. And
Those are the winner's guides.
the first series of winners, they weren't called winner's guides.
Okay.
The ones that I published with Liam W. Daly starting in about the year 2000, those were called winner's guides.
Okay.
But these were, I don't know what we'd call them.
Something. Well, you know what I didn't like? I didn't like that they were complicated. And I kept trying to think, who's going to buy this? I mean, I didn't foresee video poker becoming what it was and becoming the analytical monster that everybody was going to want to read. Now, to this day, people still buy, the versions of that and the winner's guides and so forth because they want to dig so deep. But I really didn't think it was going to happen.
You got to, most gambling games are applied math, and certainly that's true of video poker. And you got to dig in and do it. So Anthony was far more willing to learn the minutia of blackjack than I was, but I was far more willing to figure out the minutia of video poker.
Yeah, well, I think. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that we helped push you into it. I mean, because maybe you were doing it already, but you distinctly came to me and said, "Look, I'm going to write about blackjack," and I said, "No," and I said, and you mentioned video poker almost as an afterthought, and I went, "Outstanding, let's go,"
And I don't remember it that way. I don't remember at all wanting to write about blackjack, but
we all want to take credit for Bob Dancer.
You have a right to take credit for helping my career, as does Jeffrey Compton, as does Liam W. Daly, as of several other people who gave me assistance along the way.
Okay, so the one we did take, all right, the first one we did take, to this day, I think is just one of the best gambling books ever done is $1 Million Video Poker. And what I liked about $1 Million Video Poker is that it laid out a blueprint about how you did it. I mean, how you came to Vegas and within, what was it, 6 years?
Something like that.
Turned basically nothing into $1 million. And of course, it all happened in one fell swoop at the end, which is, but he details in $1 Million Video Poker how he got there, how he climbed the ladder and what it took. And I always tell people, look, if you want a blueprint about how to make money at video poker, you just have to read this book. But my question to you is, how valid is it today?
It's very valid. The principles have to do with finding the return of the game, learning it so you're playing it close to perfectly, finding what the slot club and promotions return. Don't even think about playing if it adds up to less than 100%. And that's the way you do it. You add up this, and this, and if it's enough over 100%, go for it.
And then you just play.
Then you just play. At that point, I had to guess about bankroll situation. I played more than my bankroll at that point because I didn't have good figures, and it was estimates. So playing within your bankroll is important. And fortunately, I didn't go bankrupt playing video poker. I could have, but I didn't, and got lucky at the right time. Now with Dunbar's video poker bankroll,
It's an analyzer. Yeah, video poker analyzer.
We had a decent one on video poker for winners, but that's history. So, but Dunbar's is probably the best bankroll calculator these days.
Yeah, we still sell that. We don't sell video poker for winners, the software. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We couldn't sell it anymore because Flash pooped out, right? It just pooped out. They were no longer supporting Flash, and that's what the program was based on. We'll talk about that. We're looking for more. But when you read $1 Million Video Poker, I remember editing it, and I was going through a long drought of no royal flushes, and I was like, he's getting down to the felt, as they say, right? He's writing about his bankroll's dwindling, and he's getting down to the felt, and all of a sudden, boom, he hits another royal, and I got to the point where I said, is this bastard going to hit another royal right now? And I'll be damned if he didn't hit it on the next page. And there it goes. I mean, you had a lot of things go your way, didn't you?
Wow.
I did. The 6-month period where I made $1 million in 6 months was I was heavily overroiled, including on big machines, and but not so much earlier than that. I was underroiled, and I had to survive that to get to the. But you never know when underroil happened. Even today, 2024 was a negative year score-wise for me. 23 was big win. 25 is doing fine so far. 2024 didn't hit so many royals. It's gambling.
So that's part of see, that's really what's amazing about a real pro is you don't sweat the interim stuff.
The variance.
And yeah, basically you fade the variance. And I mean, Bob's as good at it as anybody I've ever seen. I mean, you say you literally win a year with a negative result. And I mean, we talk about long, that you can go a long time without going into the black. And so how do you deal with that? Are you a robot?
I'm not a robot, but I have less emotion on today's score than most people do. We're going to talk about slots later, and one of my slot gurus, if I'm playing with him, every time we're in a bonus round and every hand, it goes, if we would have had a buffalo there, we would have had such huge money. Or everything is, it could have been more, it could have been more. I've been doing long enough that I believe in the math, I believe in my abilities, and it's going to work. And I'm not playing for stakes that could bankrupt me,
right?
Which is key. So this isn't money that is going to hurt me. I'm in a fortunate position that I have enough to last me for the duration. Probably, but I'm not going out and playing, $100 triple play machines, and because that could bankrupt me pretty quick.
Well, see, I like the way, even in the way he talks about it, the detachment.
Yeah.
He calls it a score.
Right.
And I've always recognized this about you, as most people say, I won, I lost. I had a winning day. I had a terrible day. I got wrecked. He goes, I had a bad score. And I mean, to me, that's I don't know. It sort of like sums up the way you kind of compartmentalize things. Am I right about that? Or
yeah, it's gonna turn around. The law of large numbers. You keep playing a game where you have the advantage, and if you can hang on long enough, it's gonna turn around. And playing so you basically small enough stakes so you can't go bankrupt. There's nothing to worry about. You're gonna win.
So do you calculate what your how many hands per hour, or what your EV for, what that day is supposed to be?
No, not for the day.
Long term. It's all long term.
Yeah, it's like if I have an edge that's big enough, I will play according to what my body says is fine. If it is a promotion between 6 and 8, well, then that's normally cut. Or if you need to play this many points in order to get something that I value, I'll do it. But how much longer I play is kind of just deals with my body. Like I play in the Caesar system sometimes, and there for video poker, if you play $50,000 coin in a day, you get a bonus, you get a tier credit bonus. And without going into what exactly tier credits are, they're worth something. So I'll usually play that much. And
then the math works.
It does.
Where are you playing these days? Do you play more in casinos? Do you play more in bars?
Online.
Online, yeah. Where do you like to play?
Okay, I don't play online at all.
Why? Real quick. I mean, make it just like boom, boom. I mean, why wouldn't most people want to play online? Explain that. Because you can't beat it, right? Most of the time.
Yeah, I just don't know that I have the advantage online.
Do you worry about it being that it's gaffed, or do you just they've got it set so that you just can't get it over on them?
I don't know enough about gambling online. I don't know enough about the promotions. I don't know enough about the games and the slot clubs. So, and since I live in Vegas and there's 40 casinos within a half-hour drive, I don't have any need to play in online.
Okay, good. So in Vegas, casinos, bars.
Yeah, where do you like to play?
The only bar-like place I play now is Dottie's, which is not really a bar, but it sort of is. It has bar-like offices, and I play there. The promotions are good. There were recently, as in a year ago, there were several bars around Vegas that if you got a W2G from anywhere, you could go in and they would give you 10% of that W2G in free play. And so I'll play 6-5 bonus with that kind of a deal. So I would get W2Gs wherever else. And so I might bring in a $40,000 Royal and they go, okay, we'll give you, the max here is whatever it was. And they'll give it to me in free play. And then they eventually decided that wasn't a very good idea for them, and so I stopped going to those bars. 10 years ago, there were a lot of bars in Vegas with the gambler's bonus system, where on the machines was a game that paid over 100%, and they had all kinds of extra bonuses. If you get 4 threes, it would give you an extra 50 coins bonus, or if you get a straight flush, you get an extra this or that. And there's slot clubs, and so that was lucrative for quite a while. And
Doc Holliday's days.
Doc Holliday's, yes, on the corner of Serene and Eastern, I played there. And a place with better promotions was Ray's. I think it was Pecos and don't remember.
Yeah, East Side.
It was definitely East Side. But you could go up to a 10. It was a 10 coin machine, where the largest Royal was $50,000. Yeah. And so over a 9-month period, I had between 25 and 30 of those $50,000 Royals. And for some reason, they decided they didn't want my action anymore. I was kind of annoyed, but...
You and what was that group called? The air traffic controllers? Remember those guys? You heard of them?
You talking about Change Boys?
No, the Change Boys was another one, but there was another group called the air traffic controllers.
Don't know them.
They used to go to Doc Holliday's, and they were put in the category with you and Change Boys. I remember that name too.
Well, it was really old machines. Like it was 25 or 30-year-old machines, and this was 10 or 15 years ago. So at one point I was dealt a Royal, and I'm used to the machines locking up when you get a dealt Royal. It didn't lock up, and I'm going, oh, damn, because like this was $50,000. So I'm in there very carefully and making sure it's hit before I hit the button.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Bob. So I want to also ask what everybody's thinking, what everybody wants to know.
How do you know what everybody wants to know?
Oh, I'm certain everybody wants to know, what are some of your biggest hits that you're willing to talk about and over the course of your career?
One of them's in the book, for sure. But,
well, the biggest one was one that my former wife Shirley hit at the MGM, which is a $400,000 Royal.
Wow.
Basically, I had a gun to her back making her play it. I was on a smaller game. It was but the same night I hit a $100,000 on one machine, and she hit the $400,000 on the other machine. And every hand we played, we both talked about it and made sure it was right, because she was not she was a better player at that point than probably 95% of players. But when you're playing for
what game were you playing?
$100 jacks or better, so that was
$500
$500 a pop.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow,
And
that's incredible.
And so, but largest that I've hit 240,000, which are 3-coin $100 machines.
Wow.
So
Comp's pretty good.
well, they're not always pretty good. When they're only pretty good if you're allowed to play. On opening weekend at the SLS, which was the Sahara before that and the Sahara after that.
Yeah, it's the Sahara now.
So had very nice, gave them 600,000+ coin in, did hit 100,000 royal and various things, but I never got any mail from them.
Wow.
And they had no sense of humor about coming in on opening weekend and having a real good score.
They didn't like that one.
Having a good score. Okay, so what do you prefer as a video poker game? Like as a player, if you're just going to go play and have fun. I mean, obviously there's a formula to what you're doing, but do you prefer single line, double line? You know, jacks are better, double. What games and what types of video poker games do you prefer?
That reminds me, I was watching a football game years ago. They were doing the Indianapolis Colts, and so Peyton Manning was the quarterback at that time. And one of the announcers asked the other about who Peyton's favorite receiver was. So the other announcer says, he wants the receiver that's open on this play. That's the one he likes. And so that's pretty much the way I am in video poker. If a casino is offering a game that I can make a lot of money and it's a triple play game, I'll play triple play. If it's single play, if it's single line, if it's jacks are better, if it's bonus poker, if it's triple bonus poker plus, if it's deuces wild, pretty much I'll play any game that I know or can learn easily as long as the rewards are there. So I've played a whole lot of different games. And I mean, I like deuces. I like quick quads. But pretty much my decisions are made based on dollars per hour as to what my expectation is.
The motivation's all profit. It's not anything else. It's not like I'll go to a bar, I'll play a bad game to get a few beers, because it's still profit because the beers are cheaper. But that's not your thing. It's not the comps. It's not anything. It's profit on the game, right?
Well, that's part of it. I can't say it's pure profit. There's a casino for Mother's Day that is offering a purse promotion where you get a woman's purse, and so they allow me to play on my card and my wife's card. Well, my life works better if Bonnie gets a couple new purses. So we're taking Bonnie and she's taking her daughter, and so they're both. So whether that's the best dollars per hour play that weekend or not, it's my life works better if that's where we are.
Well, when you take it to extension and you get the cost of divorce in there and everything else, that you are still playing for profit, right? That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. But but it isn't always in dollars and cents, or short-term dollars and cents.
Okay, what about since we're on? Andrew asked about what you like. What about progressives?
I don't play a lot of progressives. The one progressive I check regularly is downtown at the Circa. The Circa, the Golden Gate, and the D all have the same progressive at the bars. Approximately 200 different machines. And for denominations, well, the quarter doesn't go high enough, but the 50 cents through $5 are all different progressives.
Right.
So frequently they are, not frequently, sometimes they're positive. And so I have that strategy for various levels. And so that's when I check regularly. But usually I'll just play the straight 4,000 coin royals.
Are those only at Circa, or are they at? Do they have those at D and Golden Gate as well, or is it just Circa?
They do.
Okay, all right.
At the bars.
That makes that one coupon of ours really good.
It is. So a week or so ago, it was high, and so I had not picked up the LVA members book of values. What do you call
Member
it?
rewards book now.
Member
yeah.
rewards book. And I knew that last year they had a coupon in there for the D and the Golden Gate that if you play so many points, you get $100 free play.
Yeah, it sticks another 1% on top, I think, or something.
So I knew I was going to be playing that progressive until it hit by somebody. And so I came in and to cash both of those along the way.
That's great, and that's a great promo for our book. And
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about that coupon, and they go, "Well, it's a hard one to monetize." Well, it's a hard one to monetize at quarters. We're talking about the bonus up to $100 at the D and Golden Gate. And I go, well, not really. If you're going to play the higher denomination progressives, it's a winner.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to hit the Royal that day, so having that coupon book eased my loss by $200, for which I'm thankful.
Very nice. All right, very nice. And it only costs you $50. So look at that. What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, a few more questions here along these lines. This is one thing that you're better to speak on than anybody else. It's like in blackjack, the great debate is, if I'm going to play for profit, do I use my player's card or do I not? In video poker, there's almost no way around it, is it? Is there? I mean, is it very rare, unless you find a big progressive or something, that you can extract the maximum value without showing who you are and using a card. Am I right or correct?
Right. Usually, there are extremely few games that are over 100% by themselves, other than progressives. So the benefit comes from the slot club and the promotions and marketing directors who aren't good at math. That's where your slot clubs are, but you need to have your card in there in order to get that. And so if you get any kind of W2G, you have to show your ID, and so they know exactly who you are. But if you want to play for quarters, so you don't have to show your card, fine, but there's a limit to what you can make on single line quarters.
Right. Okay. Another question along the same lines, getting away with it and so forth. Obviously you're going to get caught at some point where you're going to be told that your action's not wanted. To your knowledge, I've never really been able to nail this down. We've written about it in the LVA a little bit, that there are casinos out there that are using software to evaluate play. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think this has been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. There have been casinos, some do that, some don't. What's your take on that? Are they back there with the same kind of tutoring things that we used to learn to try to evaluate play? I mean, is it widespread?
Okay, so what we're talking about is software, the player software, whether it's Win Poker or Video Poker for Winners, had a way that you could evaluate whether you played at 96% accuracy or 98% accuracy up to 100. So that software has been available on the player's side for decades, at least 2 decades. It's on the part of the player tracking system that is now sold to casinos. So not all casinos have implemented it. It is on the newer versions, and so if their player tracking system is 5 or more years old or older, they don't have that option. And even if they have the newer ones, they have to implement it. Not all of them do. But would I think the new, bigger casinos are implementing it? Yes.
That's very interesting. Interesting to know.
Yeah, who's pushing it hard right now? Acres, right? I think Acres has a program that they're pushing very hard.
Acres has it. The IGT version has it. Mm-hmm. The Scientific Games, has it.
Well, I was noticing that in a lot of properties, MGM, Caesars, and really a lot of various ones have these new tabletop, bar top gaming from IGT. And I guess you're saying that those have, what is it called?
I'm not saying
evaluation software. Yeah.
What's that?
Evaluation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's set up on those particular machines at those particular properties, but the option is available for the casinos.
So they'll know if you're a 98% player or a 96% player or whatever.
Yes.
When they get it all integrated, at some point it's just going to happen one place and the next and the next. I mean, to some degree, the jig's going to be up, in terms of what you can and can't do. The nice thing about, in my opinion, of the casino world is that there's always laggards. There's always places behind, especially for someone, maybe not for someone like you, but for people who want to play for entertainment and want to have the best of it and want to come out ahead over time or close to even. You look around, you're gonna find openings, I think, for quite a while.
You definitely are. So, like, taking an example from blackjack, when Munchkin told me about this several years ago, I was amazed that on a when he's dealt like a 12 for against a dealer, 2-3, let's say he had a $200 bet, he will put a nickel out there, $5, and say he's doubling down. And so they would mark that he was doubling down. And so he's given up very, very little by doing that. But it's the player tracking system goes, well, he's doubling down in this hand. He's an idiot. So let's let this guy play forever. Or similarly, another one that they did, insuring for less, where a place where you should not take insurance, but it gives a minuscule insurance bet on a big bet. And of course, if it's a big bet, you are going to take insurance generally. But
there's ways you can fool with it.
There's ways you can fool it, and there are ways you can do that in video poker too.
Interesting. Well, where this is.
I'm not writing about that just yet.
Yeah, we want to ask you. I could see there was a little bit of a pause there. Where you can read about this concept, though, is in Radical Blackjack.
Yes.
That Arnold Snyder wrote about what they were doing to foul up the blackjack.
Yes.
Radical Blackjack has a lot of different things in it, and that's one of them.
That's really interesting. It also reminds me, like, if you're playing a progressive and you're going for a royal flush, you don't play perfectly, right? You play to go for the royal every time.
Well, you would be playing perfectly, but not perfectly compared to the way you would on a different.
Right.
You change the strategy.
And there are many promotions. We haven't had them for years, but in Vegas, it used to be every Mother's Day. If you got 4 queens, you got something. You got an extra thing of candy or something. And so the promotions will change your strategy sometimes if the promotion is big enough. And so usually the software is not geared towards what the promotion is. The software is geared towards what their everyday play. So the software would make it look like you're playing very, very stupidly, whereas you are playing optimally.
Okay, one more strategy question for the viewers out there. How strong still is to make a big play on your first play? You got a new casino, they get a new slot club, it's just a place you haven't been before. And you go in, you get your card, and you give them what we call a big laydown. That used to be as strong as hell. And I mean, what do you think of that these days? I think it's still good.
I think it's good too, but it depends on what your goals are. If you're if you're a quarter player, it doesn't really matter how big of a play you make, because you can't get enough play down that's going to make a huge difference. But if you can afford to play, $5 machines or $25 machines, and it's not too much against you, it makes sense to go in and play heavily early.
All right. So on the high end, it's good. Now I can speak a little bit from the quarter to say $1 or $2 on a first play, where I've had some pretty good, which is about where I would do it. I don't usually go in on the bigger numbers like you're talking about, but I'll play like multi-line quarters, or I'll play $2, 3 lines, something like that. And I've had some pretty good back end mail off of things like that.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I remember when I first started working here, you went into a casino that had just opened, and you said, "I'm going to go put about 25,000 through and see what happens."
Yeah. And not much happened.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember that one
The,
too.
the
Yeah.
casino shall remain nameless.
Usually got to go a little higher. Okay, so let's switch gears again just a little bit. I know that you are recently getting into the advantage slots sector for play, which is, I
Yes.
mean, video poker is an advantage player game. Slots has always been not, but now these new slot machines, I mean, what can you say about that? Your interest and, where it's going and the potential there.
Well, fortunately, I've had two different gurus who were very, very successful at advantage slots, and they told me a lot kind of as a thank you for teaching them so much about video poker in the past. So I'm competent in, I don't know, 50 or 75 different games. You can get an advantage on them. You can get a big advantage on them. And in most locations, the competition to get on these machines is severe. So in Vegas, you go to a major property and you will see the same people every day. There will be teams of players checking the slots. So are there advantages to be had? Yes. Is it easy to find them and get on them? Not so much. They do things to help them get machines, or they'll put people on there as a blocker that they're just sitting there until they can get to it. Or
It's nasty. It's kind of dirty, isn't it?
it's there's some of the same techniques as table game players would play to get all the seats on the table for themselves. Or so it is possible, but the advantages are there. But you need to do a lot of walking, and you're circling the casino over and over again, checking them, because if it wasn't good an hour ago, it could be good now because it doesn't take a lot of play to go from being a bad play to a good play on some machines.
Right, because every slot's different, but when you're talking about advantage play slots, there are conditions precedent that can set the game to be positive in that moment.
Yes.
They call them variable state.
Variable
so
state.
It goes into a state of positive return. What I like about it is, like what you're describing is rough. That's a rough life. There's people out there trying to make a living doing this. What I like is when you know about these things, you run into them once in a while. You just run into them casually, and then you go, whoop, there's one. You sit down and play it. You do it enough in a year, you walk away with a profit.
Yeah, for instance, I saw the Cashman slot machine, and that's the one that has like the bingo on top, and I think they talk about it in Gambling 102. Michael Shackelford talks about it. And,
Yes, he does.
and I saw, there were 4 out of the 5 bingo up top connected, and I said, hey, even though it's, I think I was playing $3 a spin, which is more than I would normally play. I usually play the minimum on slots, but I said, hey, just do it because it's probably going to hit that bonus. And it did.
You getting lucky is always a good plan.
All right. So to that point, what games can you feel comfortable revealing, maybe people that are watching could go look for in the casino that could be in a positive state, like some games that maybe you like playing that could be in a positive state?
Well, there are hundreds that could be. And what makes them positive is that I'm not going to share on the air. But one popular game out there is called Wolf Run Eclipse. Wolf Run Eclipse has 3 different counters, a mini, a minor, and a major that start from 5, and they go up as you get certain symbols. And they also have a mega, which starts at 100. So if they all are reset, meaning they just turn the machine on or somebody hit all of them at the same time, which is extremely unlikely, the game's like an 85% game, something like that, or probably even less than that. However, if all the ones went from 5 and then now they were all at 15, now it's 105% or 108%. And so the key is having numbers as to when you get on. and not getting on beforehand. And so you look, you can see this machine is better than that one because the numbers are higher, but there are several different strategies, several different gurus out there that say, look for this number and that number. And I'll save my guru advice for video poker.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Fair enough.
It's not exact, but I mean, you know, we have a book, Breaking the Slot Code. That game is in it, and we're going to say what the numbers are according to us. You know, it's not exact. It's just like, you know, in blackjack, it's black and white, and you know, this one's right or that one's right. Or in video poker, it's this one's right or that one's right. In disadvantage slots, it's still a poke and feel around sort of thing, isn't it?
Well, part of it is, and also the casino can install the 88% version, the 90% version, the 93% version, and it looks the same on the outside. And so the numbers that work well on the 93% version, you're going to lose if you play those on the 88% version. So you have to, in addition to knowing the numbers, you kind of have to know what casino you're in and what they're likely to have out there.
A lot of variables.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So let me touch on this then, since we stepped into this a little bit. I just saw something from somebody shared with me about a cruise line. Now, a lot of people, a lot of APs were going on cruises or are going on cruises and play these things because you have a lot of players who don't know their stuff and they walk away from good things, and supposedly it's really good hunting grounds. And this cruise ship, this cruise company, which we won't name right now, sent a letter saying, it's not fair what you're doing. You can't cruise with us anymore. Not you can't gamble anymore. It's like you got 86 from the ship. You know,
Wow.
you can't. All of you have some cruises that are booked. They've been canceled. Now this is a line that the casinos are starting to take to some degree as well. Almost everyone I've talked to in the industry goes, no, we hate them. We hate the vultures. I can see if you hate them if they're bad people, but we hate what they're doing. It's not fair. And I do not understand that. What is not fair about finding a game that's good and playing it? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it is happening all over. They're happening at the Vegas airport for one place. They're active at kicking players out. The cruise line I gamble on, we go on, is the Norwegian, because in the Caesar system we get free cruises on a regular basis. And so last time I was on it, the Bliss, it was a very pleasant situation in the casino. They had a very closed off smoking area, but most of the casino was non-smoking. There were a number of players who are not as good as what you normally see in Vegas, because these are occasional and they have no idea what they're doing. So you could do a couple laps a night easily and do well on it. I did not get any heat, so I don't know. I don't know what these people were doing, but
Well, is it fair, or is it? Let me ask you this: is it unfair what somebody is doing? If somebody has the knowledge,
well, my gambling history in Vegas is under the rule that casinos can kick you out for any reason. So this is what I grew up with as a gambler, which is a different thing than they have in Atlantic City. But so I just accept the fact that that's the rules of the game. Now, do I like it? No. Do I wish I could play it more places? Of course. But I, generally speaking, would rather have situations where the casinos can kick out players, but they have better games than the games where they water down the game so that nobody can beat them, and that's how they won't kick them out.
so you try to ingratiate yourself, so you're now one of those that is on the hit list.
Yeah,
For as long as you cannot be on the hit list.
Yeah, and you're going to get hit sometimes. You're going to get kicked out sometimes, but but they're games to play to stay on their good graces.
See, here's, I always equate it with this. When I was growing up, I was given a book on blackjack when I was in 11th grade. And I started studying it, and I understood it right away. And I was learning everything about it. And I'd go to with my friends to play poker on the weekends. At the end of a poker night, everybody who's they're behind, and they want to start getting money out faster, they want to start playing blackjack. And I would go, okay, I'll deal. Gives me an enormous advantage, especially if it's a bunch of squares like that. They're all squares. I'm taking money from my friends, hard-earned money that they did. I'm taking money with a huge edge that I know about and they don't.
Right.
I'm the one who took time to find that out. I never felt bad about it. So, I sort of see this as the same thing. There's nothing unfair about it. You are just smarter. You're playing the game better. That's it.
Well, I'd like those rules too, and but that's not the way the world is.
Yes.
So I don't spend a lot of time worrying about whether it's fair or not. I spend my time worrying about how to exploit what is allowed.
Good advice.
So, Bob, one of the things that you're famous for is you're, a highly sought after video poker teacher, coach, expert, etc. So, for the people watching, what would be some recommendations for, say, somebody like me, who's getting into video poker, relatively new? What are the things that you could recommend that would get a newer player to a more expert or intermediate level faster?
Yeah, I get that question all the time too. I'm interested in what you have to say.
Well, the first thing you have to do is buy 10 copies of all my products. That'll really 10 times the speed.
Well, there you go. And you got to give them to all your friends.
You do need software. Software will correct you when you're wrong.
Okay.
You need to learn, however you do it, the return on each of the games. So if you like jacks or better, well, you have to learn to look for this much for the flush and this much for the full house, and the differences, so that you can recognize what games are there. Once you have that, you need to learn how to play that game. Now, the Winner's Guide series goes into greater detail on any particular game. There's 6 games it goes into. Pick'em Poker is now obsolete, so there's 5 games. But if you're going to be playing one of those games, you probably ought to study the Winner's Guides. It is not what I would call easygoing. It starts out easy, but it's a math textbook, and it'll go from a beginner strategy to an intermediate up to the advanced strategy, which is 100% perfect. You need to go through that process. If you want to just absorb that cosmically, with a hypodermic needle, get the information that you need. I don't know how to do that, but the studying will do it.
But why the Winner's Guides as opposed to the strategy cards? To me, the strategy card, with nobody seems to have a problem when you play with a strategy card. You sort of absorb it the exact same way. You don't get down to the theory of it. It's not explained. It's not whatever. But you start to know what you need to know, which is the categories and the order.
The strategy cards uses a terminology, a notation that takes a while to understand. As somebody who's taught many hundreds of classes after the strategy card came out, the straight flush 3 minus 1 and straight flush 3 minus 2, what does that mean? It's not obvious to most people. Most people need to have it explained to them what the symbols mean. Now, can you take the strategy card to the casino? Absolutely. Do they give the strategy cards give the same strategy as the Winner's Guides? Yes. But what the Winner's Guides give are an explanation of the hands. It gives you practice tests of, look at these 30 questions. And the questions are designed to be the tricky ones, so that you'll have an idea if you know it or not. But the strategy card by itself as a starting event is trickier than most people want to know. Once you understand what the notation means, they're extremely well designed. But
okay, what about your book then? We have something called a video. We sell a video poker bundle. It's our products, and there's 3 things in the bundle, and we put the bundle together saying this. We feel, I get it. The winner's guides, because I just didn't publish them. But, to me, the winner's guides are still. It's a little bit tough work, and
it is tough work.
But it's fundamental. I get it. We give them 3 things. Like we said, $1 million video poker to see the blueprint. Video poker for the intelligent beginner, which has a lot of the information you just kind of talked about, and the strategy cards. Those 3 things, I think, makes a pretty nice group of learning tools that most people can handle. What do you think?
Definitely, all of that will help you.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And since I've also published Sex, Lies, and Video Poker, and the winner's guides,
What will that help you with?
that will help you make it through lonely nights.
This was sent in, and I said, okay, I will ask. So let me read it. It says, I have a topic that I would like discussed, and that's the variance of video poker. My wife loves the high volatility games like triple double bonus. I try to tell her that even if it's a good pay table, the variance, the risk, the ups and downs, fluctuations, can eat your bankroll in a hurry. I believe that variance is just as important as a good pay table. Would love to hear Mr. Dancer's take on this.
Good question.
It is.
The part of the answer has to do with what your personal tolerance for risk is. If you're somebody that if you lose $100 today, you're going to go commit suicide, then variance is more important than pay schedule. If you're somebody, for somebody like me, who's playing for low enough stakes that the variance can't end up hurting you, then I basically ignore variance for the stakes I play. And I can deal with losing streaks. I can, but not everybody can deal with losing streaks. So it sounds like in this particular case, the husband is not as good at dealing with losing streaks as the wife is, or, the wife doesn't care.
It's a utility thing.
Yeah, it has to do with your personal acceptance or tolerance for the risk.
Great. I can tell you every bartender in Vegas has very high risk tolerance. they all play Keno, double, or triple. That's about for sure.
Some fun games.
Okay.
Well, they encourage their players to play them too, because those have more huge jackpots. And of course, you have, when you get a huge jackpot in the bar, you take care of the bartender.
Yeah.
So they encourage you to play it. If you're playing jacks or better, unless you're the royal, there's no big jackpots.
And the bar owners know it because all of the high variance games also have the lowest EV, the lowest returns. The best returns in bar games are invariably the most boring games. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. 6-5 bonus poker. There's where you're going.
Yep.
Okay, so to wrap it up here a little bit, quick question about everybody wants to know what is the prognosis for gambling with an edge, which that you've done with Richard Munchkin for years, and others. What's going to happen, if anything?
Well, I'd like to see it be revived. However, when we were doing it weekly, we had trouble getting new guests. We would have Anthony on about every 2 months, something like that, and sometimes back to back, week to week. And so we had a tremendous supply of very interesting, knowledgeable guests on that show, and we were very proud of it, but we got them all. So now we have to do all repeats of these people, and it's more, and so it got to be a slog getting the interviews going again. If Richard told me that he'd like to start it again, my answer is a resounding yes. I enjoyed that. Actually, the studio that we're in now at LVA, there were probably more Gambling with an Edge taped in this place than there are Anthony and Andrew, although they're going now, so they're going to beat our number pretty soon. But we had a lot of them right at this very table.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
You did. Okay, so tell us real quick. I mean, you've got other passions. Dancer, you like to dance. We know that.
We do.
But you also like to perform. And you've been doing more and more of this. You want to tell us about it and where people might be able to see you?
Sure, I'd love to. Partly, I'm a storyteller. There are several events around where you tell stories, and the stories that I'm into are true stories on the theme for whatever the theme of the evening is, and that the storyteller is a personally part of that story. It isn't like I can't tell a story of what happened to my maid's daughter, unless I was the one who did it to the maid's daughter. But I have to be a major part of the story. And so my next performance there is June 7th at the Charleston Heights Art Center, I think it's called. And the theme there relates to hair. And so I'll be performing there. Monthly, I perform with the Las Vegas Improvisational Players. So this is short form improv, where you get up and you make it up as you go. And we practice weekly. We get some skills, but once a month there is a showcase. And lvimprov.com is it gives a schedule. We do it in Las Vegas on a Saturday night, usually the second or third of Saturday of the month. Anthony will have a link that he can give at the end of the show.
We can put it in the description box too.
I may not. It's possible I won't be there in the May show. The day after we tape this, I'm going for thumb surgery. I have arthritis, and I'll be in a cast. And
Occupational hazard.
I don't think it has. I don't think it's like carpal tunnel, but my mom has. No, it's my thumb, and I don't use the thumb a lot when I gamble. My mom had pretty severe arthritis, and so they may tell me I can't perform in the May episode, but in June and thereafter, I will definitely be there.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
Well, hopefully your cast won't prevent you from being in the cast of.
There you go, Andrew.
Very good.
Attaboy.
He improvised that really lickety split.
See, it's improv.
So every time we do an interview, we have to ask our guest 2 questions, and I'm going to take the first one. Bob, what is your favorite restaurant in Vegas, or a restaurant that you would recommend to the folks watching at home?
I still get a lot of food comps around, and so I basically will spend them before I actually pay for a meal. So in the Circa system, because I get Circa comps, we eat at 8 East or Andiamo's at the D. Saginaw's at
Circa.
At Circa is a good to go. It's a deli. It's a sandwich place.
It's a great deli. Large portions.
We do not want Barry's down there is not one that I enjoyed, for it was too noisy for our comfort. I might be too old to appreciate what's in D. At South Point, we get comps there. Well, occasionally we can snag us Michael's, but normally Don Vito's. We eat at Baja Miguel's, which is their Mexican place, and the Oyster Bar are the places we frequent there. I have bunches of comps at Four Queens, Hugo's we like, and if I'm just downtown, otherwise the coffee shop in Magnolia's in the Four Queens is satisfactory. And so when we totally run out of food comps, then I'll start going out and buying food, but that hasn't happened yet.
Okay. All right. And the second question we have to ask you, not one of your books. What is your favorite gambling book? If you were to say, this is just a book I think is great that I didn't write,
I like Munchkin's Gambling Wizards.
Gambling
books.
Wizards.
Okay.
All right. Good
We've
one.
talked about that on the show before.
It's a good book. You know what? That's a very that book teaches lessons. It does. And not many people know this, but I've said this before. Working hand in hand, Munchkin wrote it and did it, but overseeing a lot of it was James Grosjean. So it's very, very strong.
Yeah. And you often tout James as one of the best in the business, Anthony.
Well, he's kind of like he's like the Bob Dancer of Advantage Play.
Oh, I think you're slandering James, but thank you.
That's it for this interview. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please leave a comment. Maybe if you have a question for Bob, you can leave it in the comments. Maybe he'll take a look at the comments as well. Otherwise, if you don't know what to say in the comments to help us grow, just leave the word jackpot for us. I'm going to kick it over to Anthony. Anything else to finish up with, Anthony?
Yeah, just very appreciative, Bob, of you coming on, giving your time and answering all our questions. Again, you don't get an opportunity to talk with the guy at the top of his discipline very often, and it's exciting to do so, and thanks.
You're welcome, and as I used to end my Gambling with an Edge show, go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody.
Yeah.
To Las Vegas.